Chapter 520, Admiral of Blood. Hunt them, Danitz asked subconsciously. When he truly understood the meaning behind Jayaman Sparrow's words, he instantly became excited. He changed his seating posture and suppressed his voice. Is there anything I can help you with? As a qualified, part-time pirate, he had nothing to do with beautiful words such as tolerance, compassion, and love. Since he had nearly died at the hands of Steel Mavetti and now had the chance to take revenge, he definitely wouldn't miss it. He believed that he could survive in the pirate industry by relying on an accurate grasp of the situation. Knowing when to resist, when to fight for his life, when to feign ignorance when seeing his enemies, and when to settle old scores. And now, this was an opportunity. Danitz still couldn't make an accurate judgment on how powerful Jayaman Sparrow was, but judging from how he had taken care of the fallen Bishop Millet within 10 seconds, it was unlikely that it would be too difficult for him to deal with Steel Mavetti. Even if he encountered the Admiral of Blood, Senner, it wasn't impossible for him to win. Of course, this is in a one-on-one situation, and pirates never talk about chivalry. Danitz thought to himself. Klein leaned forward a little, placed his elbows on his knees, and clasped his hands. I've told you. What? Danitz felt that he was often unable to keep up with Jayaman Sparrow's train of thought. With regards to this, he could only console himself that a normal person and a madman were different. Seeing that the other party had stopped talking, he thought for a while and finally remembered what he had to do. Write down everything that Admiral of Blood and his pirate crew had done. Jayaman Sparrow definitely wants to know how many things they've plundered. Danitz quickly gathered his thoughts, rummaged around the room for a pen and paper, and scribbled a chunk of text. During this process, he was exceptionally glad that it was his left arm that was injured. When he was done writing, Klein reached out for it, read it carefully, and confirmed from the undetailed parts of Danitz's description that Admiral of Blood was the most typical and vile of pirates. Not only did they plunder, but they also abducted people, slaughtered crew members, and abused women. A pirate like Danitz actually knows how to write ancient Fasak. He's also been educated. After muttering to himself, Klein took out a copper penny and used divination to confirm the authenticity of the material. Then he said in a tone as though he was giving instructions on what was to be eaten tomorrow morning, "Tell me about the Admiral of Blood and his men." He needs more detailed information. Is he preparing to hunt them? Danitz was delighted, hating himself for not knowing enough. Admiral of Blood Senner is suspected to be an evil spirit. Anyone who has encountered him has died a bizarre death. Either they strangle themselves to death, blow their mouths up, hug bombs, or slaughter their companions. Captain said that it's the possession of an evil spirit. It's very similar to Miss Sharon's Beyonder powers, Wraith. Klein didn't speak as he listened to Danitz go on, in silence. Senner can make a terrible shriek. The last time I fought them, I was nearly knocked unconscious and fell off the deck and into the sea. I returned the favor and set one of their boats on fire. Senner knows a lot of undead magic. Cruel, bloodthirsty, and full of desire. His targets can be either male or female, and even humanoid creatures. Consistent with the unrestrained nature of the Rose school of thought. Yes, accurately speaking, it's a trait of the prisoner pathway. The highest probability is that he's a wraith. Klein nodded thoughtfully. In response, Danitz became more active and spoke a little faster. Our captain thinks that Senner has a very powerful mystical item on him, one that makes him very lucky. He always seems to gain the favor of the gods. For example, at a critical moment, his opponent would suddenly slip or have their powers fail. Another example is winning 21 bets in a row. A mystical item that can make someone lucky, this is very rare. It's from the monster pathway, or is it connected to some other evil spirit? Klein guessed based on his own knowledge of mysticism. I've never directly fought Senner, so that's all I know. Danitz wanted to throw his hands up, but he was stopped by the pain in his left arm. He has about 7 or 8 ships. His flagship is the Tree of Flesh and Blood. That's different from us. We mainly seek out treasure and wouldn't take in anyone. Therefore, we only have the Golden Dream. It's no wonder the Admiral of Blood's bounty is much higher than Vice Admiral Iceberg, reaching 42,000 pounds. In terms of strength, he should be a bit stronger. Klein immediately gained an understanding. He maintained the same posture as before, seemingly unaffected by the intelligence regarding the Admiral of Blood. What about his subordinates? Danitz was long prepared as he immediately said, Senner has 10 of his strongest men under his command, the first, second, third mates of the flagship, and the captain of each ship. Steel Mavetti is the second mate of the flagship. We think that he's a sequence 6. His body is like steel and is able to withstand bullets and cannonballs. He isn't afraid of fire, drowning, and various magic. He's strong and fast. He can rip his opponent apart, and he grasps a certain level of undead-related spells. He can summon zombies and rear puppets. Zombie. Klein immediately thought of Merrick, who played cards with zombies. Based on the wraith traits of Admiral of Blood Senner, can it be assumed that these pirates are actually part of the outer circle of the Rose School of Thought, or perhaps they're from an organization used to make money? It's a pity that I don't have a messenger, nor did I ask Miss Sharon if she had one. Otherwise, I could contact her and confirm the Admiral of Blood's identity. Klein guessed with some regret. He didn't give up just because this matter might involve the Rose School of Thought. In any case, he could change his face and identity afterwards. In addition, he had involved himself with the Aurora Order, the Demoness Sect, Rose Redemption, and Twilight Hermit Order, so he wasn't afraid of offending another entity. Actually, it's not like I've never fought against the Rose School of Thought. I've already killed a wraith, a zombie, and a wraith, and I've robbed the Scarlet Lunar Corona and biological poison bottle. Klein suddenly realized how much trouble he had been involved in. It's unlikely that Mavetti has any particularly powerful mystical items. Otherwise, I might not have been able to escape before, Danitz said, feeling somewhat relieved at his luck. He has a bunch of puppets and zombies by his side, as well as several subordinates at sequence 7 or 8. As the second mate of the flagship, he should be the leader of the crew in the vicinity since he's here. We can consider hunting him first. Below the high sequences, once the number of Beyonders reaches a certain amount, a qualitative change will occur. With the combination of different abilities, it's possible for a group to defeat a Beyonder stronger than themselves. It's just like how a Nighthawks team can definitely take down a Sequence 6 or even a Sequence 5. Klein didn't underestimate Steel Mavetti and his men just because he was stronger with creeping hunger. He was still as cautious as before. I have to plan and prepare well. Well, the frequency bands and passcodes I received from White Shark will come in handy, and once Miss Magician's radio transceiver is delivered, I'll get Danitz to frequently monitor the frequency and see if we can glean any information, allowing me to go in quickly to reap the harvest. And I can take advantage of this period to explore the possibility of true acting. Soon, Klein formulated a plan as he continued to listen to Danitz tell him about the rest of Admiral of Blood's subordinates. After a while, when Danitz was finally done, he summarized enthusiastically, "If Steel Mavetti can be killed, leaving my name behind, this matter will definitely go on the papers. Once it's spread, I no longer need to worry about informing Captain." He was afraid that a traitor was among their ranks and that all the points of contact in the Rörsted archipelago were under the enemy's control. Therefore, he didn't dare to rashly make contact. He was still vexed over the problem of alerting his captain. "He actually has a brain." Klein nodded and said, "You're in charge of gathering information on all aspects of steel." "All right," Danitz replied with a grim smile, thinking of the punch that had nearly pierced his heart in the evening. Klein slowly stood up and walked towards the window. It was dark outside with howling winds and pouring rain. It looked as if the end of the world had arrived. Thinking of what he was going to do next, he couldn't help but feel like he was acting in a certain sense. Smiling, he muttered to himself in a low voice, "Tonight, Jayaman joins the hunt." City of Generosity, Bayam, in the Cathedral of Waves. Alger Wilson, who had received the Sanguine's anesthetic gas, was about to sail out to sea for another of the Windblest's main ingredients, when he was summoned by the local diocese bishop. There have been rumors recently that Vice Admiral Iceberg received Death's Key. All the pirates in the Sanya Sea are roused by this, the bishop said in a heavy voice. Investigate this matter. He was an old man with a head full of white hair, but he was still as energetic as ever. His speech was even faster than a young man's, as though he could charge out at any moment and personally resolve all problems. His body was strong, his muscles bulging with his bishop's robe. The wind howled around him as he breathed, and the air was moist. There are similar rumors every year, but they all end up being fake. Such rumors are commonly spread across the sea. Even if it's true, I don't have the right to be involved. There's no need to take the risk. I'll just go through the motions and skirt the edge of this matter. Alger muttered inwardly. He solemnly clenched his fist and struck his left breast. Yes, Your Excellency. May the storm be with you. Diocese Bishop Chogo was very pleased with Alger's attitude and returned the same salute. May the storm be with you. The encouraged Alger Wilson quickly left the cathedral and returned to the square outside. The storm last night had subsided, and only the scattered leaves and water puddles on the ground remained as evidence of its coming. After taking a breath of after-rain fresh air, Alger decided to visit the few places where pirates roamed. He planned to put on a show of working hard by trying to seek out information. If he were to meet a fellow with a bounty of a few £100, he wouldn't mind apprehending the poor bastard. In his opinion, they were liquid cash flow that could be added to his savings.